All right, without further ado, let's dive in. Once again, my name is Zach Gorman. I'm the co-founder of Real Reports. Today, we are going to be digging into something that I've been very excited about that we only rolled out and released just a couple of weeks ago. It is called Prospector. This is our prospecting tool built directly into the Real Reports platform. We're going to talk about a bit, what goes into the product, sort of all the different features and functions, and then a bit about our process and how we think about prospecting in general. I'm sure everybody here, if you've been in the trade at all, is familiar with prospecting, farming, things like that. So this is not going to be as much of a educational deep dive on that side of the house. It's more just the tool specifically. However, over time, we will have deeper sessions on strategy around prospecting, things like that. But today is really just to introduce you to the product itself. Now, just a little bit on us, because I know we're constantly adding new partners and new users. We want to make sure that everybody's at least caught up to speed. So I'll be very, very brief here. But just a little bit on us. We all come from the space. We're all licensed ourselves. We've been practitioners for many, many years. We've worked across the whole ecosystem, brokerage, MLS, prop tech, and the like. And we're backed by some great investors in the sort of VC, real estate, and prop tech ecosystem as well. I say all of this not to just flash a bunch of logos at you, but I say this every time I do a presentation. We do find, and I'm sure many of you who've been in the trade for a while, can empathize that companies, always look at real estate as this really juicy peach. You're like, oh my gosh, so much, so ripe for disruption, so many things that can be done, so much money that can be made. But the reality is, without industry experience, you're building solutions for problems that don't exist. We started Real Reports because we started in the trade and we were agents ourselves, brokers ourselves. So we have a lot of that domain expertise, and it really informs everything that we do. Now, I'm going to breeze through this. High level, just 30,000 foot view of Real Reports. You can think about us as a AI supercharged Carfax for homes. And again, we're talking about Prospector today, but for those of you who may just be learning about what Real Reports is, just want to level set. What this means is that we're bringing together comprehensive property information, all into one sort of intelligence platform. This data is coming from, at this point, over 70 different data providers all in one place. Really there to be able to answer any question you have about the property parcel and surrounding area for any home or property in the country. This is a platform exclusively available for real estate agents. That's very much by design. Of course, in light of the lawsuits and the market shifts, everything going on in our industry, we understand that being able to clearly articulate your value as an agent out in the field is one of the most important things. You're sitting down with that buyer, assessing, what's going into your service. What do you bring to the table? And they're looking at that buyer's agency agreement being like, why am I going to go Susanna versus my uncle who offered me a really good deal on the commission? Like, every ounce counts in this industry. So the whole Real Reports ecosystem is really there to position you as the professional at all vectors of your process. And if somebody could go get this product off the shelf themselves, then that really breaks down that value chain. So this is only available through you. Now, very quickly, when we talk about the data that is in Real Reports, this is a sampling of what's in there. And this is a non-exhaustive list. It's just what I could fit on the page. And hopefully people can even read it to this point. It's getting almost too small. But you can see a lot of different data types and categories there coming from a lot of different sources, public records, government sources, first party, third party, private data, whatever it may be. Our whole philosophy around data is that it is imperfect. And you never want to be reliant on one data source for your information. So we aggregate at this point over 70 different data providers to make sure that we capture the widest breadth of data that you could possibly realize about real property, but also so that the fidelity, accuracy, and recency of that data is as strong as possible. Now, all that said, data is only valuable if you know what to do with it. I'm going to breeze through here, but you're looking at that list of data and your eyes are glazing over. That's where our AI comes in. So powering every Real Report, we have Aiden. This is the AI property advisor built into Real Reports. We're not going to spend too much time on Aiden today because I want to focus on Prospector. But again, for those of you who are just getting acquainted to Real Reports, Aiden has the ability to answer any question you have about the property data in Real Reports. It can be something as surgical as, are there any open permits on the property, or something more analysis driven, like if I wanted to rent this property out on Airbnb this winter, what would that cost? What would be the effects of seasonality? What would be the ROI, cap rates, things like that? Aiden can analyze property photos. It can summarize property documents. We all know how tedious sellers disclosures, HOA docs, meeting minutes, inspection reports can be. Aiden can summarize those docs and information for you, get you what you need in a matter of seconds. It can generate full repair estimates, local contractor quotes, parts, materials, labor, all of that. Do a bunch of deep research and, table stakes at this point. If you're using any AI in our industry and it's not fair housing trained, run. And so, of course, it comes with the territory that our AI is fair housing trained, and we like it to be accessible, so it's multilingual as well. Anyways, again, today, we don't have time to talk about everything that Real Reports provides. What we really want to focus on is this sort of front of funnel, lead farming, prospecting. That's really where we're going to dig in today. So again, this is a very, very new tool, but we call it Prospector. And this is built directly into the Real Reports ecosystem. I'll show you how to access it here in a second. Prospector is basically our way to help you uncover new listing opportunities. Again, this is not going to be a diatribe on what prospecting is, lead farming. We all understand that working with clients, providing value, that's incredibly important. But as agents, we are always trying to fill our cup, fill our top of funnel, and bring in new business. That is a part of the trade. It's what makes this trade so unique, is that agents really have to work the whole stack as business owners themselves, of sourcing their business, qualifying, nurturing, transacting, follow up, etc. It's sort of a holistic end-to-end kind of trade. But again, that top of funnel is key, and you've got to be bringing in new business. Prospecting, farming, something that's been around for quite a while. I think we've built a much, much better mousetrap around this in a more thoughtful way, because I think in many cases, farming and prospecting gets a bad name because it sort of ends up being a spray and pray kind of tactic. And again, for anybody who's been in the business a long time, I think we all know that spray and pray doesn't really get you too far for too long. So let me sort of dig into this piece by piece. Within Prospector, we have a bunch of different filters. Again, if you've used products out there, there are plenty on the market that do prospecting. A lot of this is going to sound familiar, but we've got 30 smart filters built into the product, things like property specs, owner info, mortgage types, things like that. You're going to be able to search based on predictive sell scores, so sort of find your hot zones on the map of who has a more likely propensity to sell. There's nationwide data in here with zero restrictions. So you can go in, you can dig in whatever market you're looking for. You're not geo-fenced or anything like that. And you can just start using Prospector as soon as you like. And once you have your results, your buy box identified, you can export those leads as a CSV file, an Excel file, or even ready to print mailing labels if you want to do that kind of engagement. Now, again, I'm going to probably harp on this a lot, but I think this is so key. Successful prospecting is not about quality, or it is about quality, rather, not quantity. I've seen plenty of people use prospecting tools where they're downloading tens of thousands of leads and just caution to the wind, sending emails to every single one of them, spending a ton of money, sending postcards to just literally tens of thousands of people. This is not how our business gets done. The reality is, as an individual practitioner, I'm always thinking about who are my next 10 people who I'm going to be working with. That's that real sort of lever and step function in terms of how much business you're doing in a given year. So we really want you to sort of embrace that when it comes to our tool. Again, you can go find as many people as you want in here, but we are, really focused on you finding quality leads, not just sending, caution to the wind and hitting up as many people as possible. So very quickly, before I just talk about the steps, I just want you to see the product. Let me just jump over here. So it's very easy to get to Prospector, and very important to note, and I'll be very transparent about this. This is a paid offering within Real Reports. It's $40 a month for a subscription. If you are part of an MLS or brokerage that is offering Prospector to you as a member or agent benefit, they will clarify that with you. And we have some organizations who are doing that. If your firm isn't doing that, send it up the ladder. Tell them you love Prospector and you'd love to see that as one of your benefits. And maybe we can make that happen with them. But otherwise, if it's not available to you, again, just always want to be upfront about costs and things like that. It's $40 a month to be able to have access to this. When you don't have access, if you haven't done the $40 a month, you get 3 searches to sort of see how the tool works. You won't be able to export lists or anything like that, but you at least be able to get your hands dirty and sort of explore the tool itself. Now, Just a little bit of the lay of the land. Let me refresh my page here so we can sort of see it from the start. So again, when you get into Real Reports, this is sort of the basic dashboard view. To get to Prospector, it's very easy. You just click this Prospector tab over here on the left-hand side. That'll immediately center you on the map. Now, the first thing you need to do is choose your location. It's very clear over here when you're setting your criteria. There are 2 steps. First, step 1, enter a location to begin your search for prospects. You can always move on the map, draw on the map however you like, but we want to just put you in the right place to start because, again, you don't want to search the entire United States. So let's just say I want to do Dover, New Hampshire. So I'll click Dover. The map will auto zoom me over to there. I could just search properties if I wanted right off the bat. Just click the search button. You can see I have 40,000 plus results. This is not helpful. Again, for those of you who may be used to prospecting tools, you may have been sort of learned some bad habits of like, oh, great, so many opportunities. This is not opportunity. This is just a bunch of people. You have no idea anything about them. You need to be thinking about how do we close down that funnel and that buy box, make it more discreet. So that's what this step 2 is all about. You've got all these different filters in here. You can do, drill down into a specific location. So if I want to search, and get all the prospects for one street, maybe I just did a sale in a certain area and I want to capture all of those different addresses, I can enter that here. I can do that by zip code. I can filter based on property characteristics like bedrooms and bathrooms, square footage, lot size, year built, floors, parking spaces, a bunch of other things, property type. If you want to drill down between residential, commercial, condos, multifamily, however you like. You can do by owner name. Financial details, things like assessed value, last sale price, loan amount, mortgage rate, ownership time, all the different loan types. There's a lot of different stuff in here for you to help, identify what your buy box is. So without spending too much time, let's just say I want to search in this area. I'm going to zoom in a little more and say, all right, let's do 2-bedroom, 1-bath, and has a conventional loan. So I'm going to hit search. Now I've got 484. So I've gone down 2 orders of magnitude. Personally, I still think this is a lot, but many of you may be like, great, I want that list. I'm going to export it. I want to throw it into a drip campaign that I've got in my CRM and be on my way, or I want to do a mailing campaign, through whatever provider you like to do for that. If that is where you want to stop, it's very easy to get your lists. You just download it as a CSV or an Excel file or mailing labels right here. If I click the mailing labels, that just downloads straight to my computer. If I want to download it as a CSV or an Excel file, I can go in here, customize what that table is going to look like with different columns, and then just download. So very, very simple to get that. But again, I think there's much, much more to it. So I'm going to quickly jump back over to slides and just sort of walk you through that process one more time, and then we'll sort of talk specifically how I would suggest, or we as Real Reports would suggest moving once you get to that sort of smaller buy box. So again, just getting started, you go to Prospector and Real Reports. We talked about that fee unless you're getting it through your MLS or brokerage as a member benefit, which they will tell you. You enter a location, step 1. You apply your filters, step 2. You create your buy box, so you get all these different opportunities. You want to drill down in there, figure out, okay, once I get it to something a bit more reasonable, do I want to just export that list and be on my way? If so, totally fine. Now, what we would recommend is get your buy box down to, single digits or, less than 20, less than 50, because the way that we've tried to build a better mousetrap is that Prospector feeds into the entire Real Reports ecosystem. Now, again, the Real Report, AI Carfax for Homes, this is a really, potent type of resource that you could share with these prospects. And our recommendation is go get the Real Report for those different prospects that you're interested in engaging. Because then when you do, you don't have to show up in their inbox or their DMs or in their, text messages empty-handed, because that's not going to communicate what you want to be known for as an agent. If the first impression somebody has of you is, who the hell is this? How did you get my number? You've already lost the gamut. So for us, we want to empower you with something that's at least meaningful. No matter what, you're still going to be somebody who they've never met, most likely. So you're always going to have to overcome that. But if you show up with something that's actually interesting for them or compelling and value add, then that's actually putting you, facing the right direction. So it's very easy. from Prospector to just go get a real report for those properties. So if I scroll down to my table of results here, you can see I can just hover over the address of any of these, and I've got a link to go get the real report. Very, very easy. Pushes me over to the real report. I can choose which tier that I want. Now, again, for people who are not familiar with real reports, we offer 3 tiers of our report: snapshot, buyer, seller. They sort of graduate in terms of more data, more features, etc. Important to note, we recently added a lot of new features meant to really tie into Prospector specifically in our seller tier report. Makes sense. You're using Prospector to identify potential seller leads. The seller report is really what you want to be drilling into. Now, those specifically are the following. In each seller report, we provide you a very robust sell score that will show you all the different factors contributing to that sell score. And again, this is propensity to sell. How likely is somebody going to sell their property? So we give you the primary motivating factors behind that. And we also give you a talk track. That's sort of an AI data blended talk track, basically giving you the points you want to hit when you do that outreach to somebody. And then beyond that, of course, already in the Prospector product, you will have their address and their owner name or owner names. But in the seller report, we also give you their contact information. So that's phone number and email address right in there. So let me just hop over to a report just so you can actually see what that looks like. So I have a property here in Minnesota. If I scroll down to the ownership information, you can see here I already pulled this up. I can see my propensity to sell, the confidence interval, the motivating factors behind that. I've got my talk track here of things that might be, reasonable for me to use and include with my outreach. We can see that there's a high sell score. It's telling me like, come prepared with a CMA, a pre-listing plan to guide the conversation. And the other thing here that they've noted is that the homeowner has a decent mortgage rate. So moving could mean, a noticeable increase in monthly costs. Make sure you address that pay gap, with creative financing options, timing strategies, things like that. So we're trying to provide you guidance. This isn't just to like jazz you up and say, oh, no worries, you're going to land this one, no problem. Like, we're trying to be real with you, not to be trite, real reports, but like, we want to give you real advice and real information. So you should be empowered knowing what it's going to be like going into that conversation. Because that, moderate rate lock-in is there, that's why this sell score isn't a 10 out of 10. That's why it's sort of more in the middle. Doesn't mean that it can't be an opportunity for you, but you shouldn't go in, blind to the situation if you're going to do that. Now, below that, you can see the contact information in here. Of course, very important. We will display this anytime we know. If somebody's put themselves on the do not call registry, we will display that very clearly here. We don't want anybody getting in trouble. It's always incumbent on you to check those registries, but we try and surface that whenever we do. But you can see here, there's another option that's not on the DNC list. So I can go validate that on my side and give this one a shot. But personally, as a practitioner who tries to really be above boards all the time, like, I'm not going to call these numbers. I do have the email lists here, or email addresses here as well. So again, just stepping back, I created that buy box. I drilled down. I got the seller report. I now have a lot of information on who the seller is, why they may even want to engage with me, how to get in touch with them, not to mention everything in the seller report. And we don't have enough time for that here today. But again, you've got valuations, permit history, a full CMA, zoning, rental potential, liens, tax information. The report is exhaustive. So you're not just showing up ready to talk with that person, have an understanding of who they are, but you also have very clear understanding of what this property is all about. And you're going to be the most informed agent on the block, so to speak, with the amount of data that we have in this report. That's just sort of de facto the purpose of this product to begin with. So you've got that contact information, you've got those outreach recommendations. You can easily share the real report. With that seller report, you also get the added benefit of your lead capture feature. This means when I share this real report, not only can I package that into a nice email, add all of that salient information that we discussed, put it all together, send away, but when the lead capture is on, I will see anytime, let's say Tim is the one who I'm sending this to. I will see anytime Tim looks at this report. I'll see what he's doing in the report. I'll see how often he's in there. I'll see the things that he asks our AI property advisor, Aiden, about the property. Because listen, again, cold outreach is cold outreach. This is certainly going to position you as a much, much more reasonable, professional, data-driven, and sophisticated kind of agent. But somebody may not be totally ready to just reply immediately to that text and be like, oh, Thanks so much for reaching out, Zach. I've been waiting for your call. Let's talk. It may take a bit of time to nurture that lead, but what you've done is you've put something really valuable in front of them that they can go and interface with on their own. And you have a full sort of insight feedback loop into everything they're doing in the report. So in that downtime that they may not actually communicate with you, you're still empowering yourself with even more information. Maybe Tim's in my report every day. Great signal. That means he's interested. That's he's looking. Like I have provided him of something with value. And then maybe Tim is, looking at or asking the AI about building an ADU in the backyard, assessing rental viability. Now I have just like such a clear insight into sort of his frame of mind, what he's thinking about. And when I do my next outreach, I can be armed with that extra information to sort of guide the pen. So again, you can start to see how this all really blends into a much more coherent ecosystem with Prospector and the real reports all sort of talking to one another. Yeah, and as I said, so you share the real report and then you can track your engagement and insights. We email you when you get new leads, but you can also go to your dashboard under the lead activity, which is right above Prospector, and see a full list. This is just my test account, but you'll see a full list here of everybody interacting with your reports, what they're doing, etc. So again, sort of an all-in-one system. All right. I know that was hopefully short and sweet. We do have some time for questions here. So Dan, I'll let you jump in and happy to answer anything that could use some additional attention.
You bet. I think you can actually share screen and show both of these. So the first one was just a question about interest rate. And so I explained on the seller report, there is a financial section and specifically a loan section, and you can go ahead and crack into that loan and see that rate. So I don't know if you want to take a second to get a seller report up, you could just show that super quick.
Yep.
And then while you're doing that, the second question, and I think I linked the Education Hub link, just a question on the different data in the different tiers. But I'll let you.
Yeah, sure. So for the financial section, it's right here under financials. You can open this menu and see all the different data categories and everything. So we got loan and transaction history, tax information, tax history, HOA details, and you can sort of dig in, find rates in there. All of that's really built in. For the Education Hub piece, these quick links at the top of your dashboard will pull you into the Education Hub. You can also click this, this button here on the sidebar as well. That puts you into our Education Hub resource. For those of you who asked earlier, will there be a recording of this, slides, etc.? The answer is yes, and it will live in here. All you need to do is scroll down. You'll see some links of like how to connect with us online, all the webinars. You can see here, this is today's webinar that we're doing, and then recordings for all our past webinars from the year. So there's a lot of really great information here. It doesn't really go stale. So please feel free to watch those at your own time, and a lot of other use cases and, product walkthroughs, things like that.
Cool. And the last question that just came in, I'm in the midst of typing it, but figured let you riff on it for a second. Just question was, do you get seller reports with Prospector? And I was just typing out that they are kind of separate and distinct subscriptions, but they do go hand in hand.
Yep, definitely. So many of you who are getting real reports through your MLS or brokerage are already getting like a 33% discount off of those buyer and seller tier reports. So you already have that. If you find yourself really leaning into the Prospector and trying sort of using the methodology that I described of like, hey, I'm going to find my 10 most likely prospects, I'm going to send them a seller report each. There are ways that you can bulk buy credits to get those reports that will reduce those costs even more over time. You can get those down to single digits depending on what kind of volume you're doing. Single digits mean like single dollar digits per report, if that is sort of the volume that you're expecting. But yes, they are distinct. And again, Prospector is a $40 a month subscription just on its own to use the tool if you want to sort of really up the ante with those extra reports. And mind you, the seller report, that's just my guidance. You can also get, many of you have access to our snapshot or our tax shot report, which is something that in almost every case you have unlimited of. And so listen, that's, again, I'm trying to be real with you guys. Like, of course, we're a business, we like to make money, but the reality is if you're not ready to just, start throwing X amount of dollars here and there to get additional reports on top of that subscription, I totally understand. But use that snapshot report as your member benefit and send those out instead and be like, listen, here's like a quick look at your house. I've got a much, much more in-depth version if you're interested. You're obviously going to lose some of the information up front, but you can still provide that real report as something valuable to sort of articulate Why is working with you different? What do you bring to the table that's different? And you can sort of hold the carrot in front of them and be like, hey, if you want to talk more, like, let me know, and I can get you the full version of this report for your property, a property you're interested in, whatever it may be. So there are a lot of ways to skin the cat here. It's not all reliant on you just spending money in dollars over and over again.
That concludes, Mr. Gorman.
Lovely. All right. Well, again, we try and keep this short and sweet. I know everybody's got a lot more on their plate to do than listen to me yap all day. So always feedback welcome. If you have questions at any point, I will just drop my contact in the chat as well as Dan's. Feel free to reach out to us. Let us know what you think of the product, feedback, anything, please. We have thick skin. We want to make the product better, all pieces of it. So thank you all so much for your time today. Enjoy the rest of your week, and hopefully see or talk to you soon. Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.